Welcome back to another episode of Silent Pals Go to the Movies. This is another Throwback Thursday review, and today I will be reviewing Zoot. And just a fair warning, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. When barrio leader Henry Reina and his friends are unjustly convicted on circumstantial evidence, activist lawyer Alice Bloomfield and George Cheer fight the blatant racial motivated miscarriage of justice to win them their freedom. So let's begin with my first pro. So let's first get the fact that Luis Valdez also wrote the play Zoot first, inspired by the 1942 Sleeping Lagoon murder mystery case, and the movie was also directed by Luis Valdez, which is based on his own play from a few years before. The message in both play and the movie reaches the same point about discrimination, using a real case to point out this injustice that happened. The name of the characters are also changed, such as Henry Reina in the play and book versus in real life Henry Leyva. So my pro is, even though there is a real case in which the play takes some liberties, but not so much to the point that it skews things, just like Edward James Olmos El Pachuco says at the beginning of the movie, the mono you're about to see is a construct of fact and fantasy, but relax, weigh the facts, and enjoy the pretense. By this, he states even if it's based on a real case and we change some things, the facts are still valid. Next pro is the idea that the film is the first glimpse into the barrio life of how the government treated yet another minority during the 1940s, and not just by the system, but also the press, police, servicemen, and so on. But especially the judge, Charles Fricka, who did some things that would not fly in court nowadays. Even though at the end they were released, still the harm was already done, and yet they never really found out who the real killer was. They only wanted to make a statement about the people in the barrios, that they were what the press would say, lowlifes, criminals, and other stuff. Next pro is that this is an example of how even a simple suit, a dress attire, was a statement of protest against the war, just how people would protest against Vietnam and other wars in the future. Since there was rations during World War II on clothing fabric, and having a suit made was a way of protesting by the Chicanos, blacks, Filipinos, and even some white youth. This was a statement that they actually did to rebel, and not against their own neighborhood, but against the system, and voice their own opinion. Now on to my cons. First con is the movie fails in the way that it wants to show a play in the movie format, but doesn't conform the script into a movie format. For example, in this movie, we see the audience since the beginning, which would be fine if the film then warps into an actual movie with a smooth transition into the story, but it doesn't. Take the play Hamilton, for example, and then the movie Hamilton, they film the play and it works because it's not a play in a movie format. It's a play being recorded and then shown to you and presented as such a play, not a movie. If Luis Valdez would have rewritten the play script to be adapted into a movie script, and then we actually see it being recorded on location with real people and real places, and if the dialogue between El Pachuco and Henry would have changed in a way that it would flow better, then this movie would have had a bigger impact on the Chicano youth and even other youth who would have seen this movie. We would have felt the actors' emotions more if we did not have so many monologues between Henry and El Pachuco. I know he is like the jester in Shakespeare's play who knows it all and even is the link between the audience and the play, but his role would slow down the pace of the movie to the point where you would get out of being invested from the other characters, and it would just throw you off. And also, there was parts of the movie that wanted to be a little bit comical, but in a sense, you could have comedy in a play, but you can't have comedy in a movie that is talking about a serious role. And if you want to present this as something that really happened and discrimination, I don't think there's a place for humor in this movie. Next con, the layout of the play is made to mirror a play on stage, but if you would have used real locations and even more extras that would represent this era, then this movie would have stood out more. Also, the end is the perfect place to have El Pachuco give his final monologue and then give the different endings by having flashbacks and showing the actual events, then a black screen with the notes that this was an actual play based on the real case, which led to the Zoot riots in LA. Then you could have used real pictures to drive the point home of the real riots in LA. Next con is, if you are learning about the real case, then don't take this movie as the real deal. Better yet, same as the Crucible, use this as an aid, since not everything can be taken as facts, but do your part and do your research, especially if this is a class project based on the real case and the riots. So my final grade for this movie is going to be a 6 out of 10. If you just watch the movie after reading or watching the play, then the grade would be slightly higher, since you have more of a reference and background from this actual case. Also, this is a perfect aid if you are learning about the Sleepy Lagoon events and the riots following the case, since I do believe that this is a stepping stone to the Zoot riots, but also make sure that you read up and do your research on the actual events. So that does it for this review of Zoot. Please join us next time where we're going to review Arachnophobia.
I think we got a big problem here in Canaima. They've got 3 dead bodies, and the cause of death seems to be a spider more deadly than any I've ever seen. They want the okay to quarantine the town.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can find our social media links below. And like always, keep watching movies.